Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for Eden Zero, chapter 191. When we last left our heroes, we focused pretty much entirely on the fight with Rebecca and Clown, as Rebecca initially struggled to do anything against Clown due to his just complete control of the arena, including him electrifying the floor so she couldn't really use her feet-based powers. But thanks to some quick thinking from Pino and some acrobatic skills from Rebecca was able to catch one of Clown's swords he was throwing at her with her feet, throw it at Pino and Happy's cage, freeing them, allowing Pino to take out the electric floor, and Happy and Rebecca are able to shoot at Clown's weak spot, seemingly defeating him. But not really, because Clown gets back up, equipped into his battle dress, Nightmare Clown form, and does some kind of mist thing that swallows up Rebecca. It's very reminiscent of what happened to Jean right before he overdrived the first time, but I'm not sure that's an intentional comparison or not. Either way, all that being said, let's dive right on in chapter 191, Zombie Nurses. Don't know what that's about, but our picture here is the young Laguna, and I like that, for all the other members of the cast, when we get these young versions of them, they're, either destitute in a lot of the cases, or, Homura had, the best childhood in that, she had a decent house. But, the Rutherfords were on the streets, Rebecca was on the streets, Weisz was on the streets, Shiki had a bunch of robots keeping company. Laguna's in a fucking penthouse with a bunch of, 10-year-olds first suits and stilettos. We stand. What an icon. What a fashion icon we stand. Chapter 191, Zombie Nurses. Don't know what that's about. We pick up where we left off, with Clown just standing there as Rebecca fades away. And Clown just comments, nighty-night, and we see Rebecca's, sandals. Her entire body is gone, including her clothes, except for her shoes. Her shoes fell off. Don't know why we focused on that. It's a weird thing to focus on. And Happy calls, Rebecca! And Pino is just, oh no, Miss Rebecca has vanished! And Clown tells her she'll be waking up in a world of nightmares about now. Maybe that's what the zombie nurses are about? I don't know why zombie nurses would be a Rebecca nightmare, but okay. Happy charges at Clown, though. Bring Rebecca back! And Clown just, gets this ether, this, electric ether, and zaps the two bots with it. Ah! Aye! And they just fall, smoking. And Clown tells them, so sorry, but terminating that little girl is not the real purpose of my creation. Tee-hee-hee. And he gives that ominous little line as we hear this rumbling sound. And then we come back to Shiki and Wizard. As Shiki is still sort of trying to, he's just made that conclusion about Ziggy. And he asks Wizard, what's your real goal? But Wizard just tells him, I have nothing more to say. And the arena starts to fade away, I guess with Wizard's defeat. You win. I have lost. But the other Dark Stars are stronger than I. That's interesting. Normally the main character would get, the strongest member of the Dark Stars. And I guess, he's going to fight Ziggy in the end. Who really cares? But that's just an interesting little thing there. I don't know. Shiki calls to him, wait! And then he's falling back through the sort of datascape and lands back in the Coliseum, where Homura is still fighting Brigandine in the real world. Shiki! And Shiki looks at her, Homura? Am I back in the arena? Where are the others? And Homura fills them in. Apparently, they've been sent to separate alternate dimensions. And Brigandine chimes in, to suitable battlefields. And Shiki just sort of glares at Brigandine. You have vanquished Wizard, eh? And it looks like Shiki's about to join the fight, but then he gets warped again. Oh. No, he's still doing It's the same memory thing we saw with Wizard. This time with Valkyrie, also missing those sorts of plate lines you see on android faces, and a human man who might be Brigandine. We never really seen a human Brigandine, and also this is didn't Brigandine Mark 1 die? Was he one of the ones that died? I think it was Killer and Brigandine who Jaguar killed, right? So the question that raises is, if Ziggy was able to replace Brigandine and Killer, and all the Dark Stars and Shining Stars were originally human, they're not androids in the traditional sense, they're Otacs, and then Brigandine died, why does this Brigandine have the memories of his predecessor? I don't know. There's something weird going on with the reveal that if this is setting up that like all of the stars knew each other. And Shiki sees it. That's Valkyrie's memory. Is that him next to her? And I'm guessing Homura and Brigandine can't see this. Homura looks confused. Brigandine is not confused. That's not a question mark. That's 2 exclamation points. Which is weird because Wizard didn't know, right? Wizard had no idea what Shiki was talking about. But Brigandine, that's not confusion. I don't know. But Shiki comments, so it's the same thing. He knew Valkyrie. And Homer is just shocked. What? But actually, Brigandine doesn't know what he's talking about. He's silent for a beat and then says, I have no memory of meeting her. I am her counterpart. Contact between us is not requisite. And Ziggy comments, so you both had your memories erased too, thanks to Ziggy. And then he orders Homura, you deal with him and get the others. I'm going to go find Ziggy. And he tries to run off, but Brigandine tells him, that will not be possible. You cannot escape Killer's subdimension program. This is a fight for honor, for ours and yours. And then a voice comes in. You heard him. Killer, this is perfect timing. I was just getting bored. Come join me, Shiki. Okay, for a second there, I thought that might be Ziggy saying, like, actually, let Shiki come to me. I'll deal with him now. But no. We're going to get dragged into the Killer stuff. Killer and Weisz. And he vanishes in the arena. Homer calls Shiki. But we're not really going to deal with all those memory things, though I imagine Shiki might be about to see Killer and Hermit's shared past. But Shiki wakes up with some devices above him, and he's strapped to an operating table. I'm guessing with the zombie nurses. What is all this? And then we see, I think that's Killer up in like a higher level. Remember, you're only here as a guest. Damn it! And he tries to activate his ether gear while like struggling against the chains. Don't bother. You're in an electronic dimension created by yours truly. It doesn't matter how strong you are. In this dimension, I reign supreme. Okay. That's an interesting thing, because then, like, how do they win? You know, on the one hand, it calls to mind Urza's fight with Misaki recently in 100 Years Quest, where, like, she was dragged to her dimension, and Urza was able to sort of take control. But, like, you know, maybe that's why Majima paired Weisz with Killer. He's the only one that can actually like affect the program. You know, this is all a program created by Killer, and Weisz controls machines, and programs are parts of machines, right? I'm not that super good at technology, but I think that's right. So yeah, Shiki can't do much here if Killer won't let him. But Shiki protests, I thought this was supposed to be a fight for honor. Don't be ridiculous. There's no sense in fighting. Brigandine is a weirdo who finds beauty in that stuff. But not me. I prefer to make sure I finish my prey. And to have fun while I do it. And Shiki just growls, grr. Oh, but don't worry. I'm not going to kill you just yet. I have to take care of Weisz first. If you're lucky, your Prince Charming may come to save you, sweet princess. There's a beat for all the Shiki Weisz shippers. All you Steinbell fans out there. And Shiki is sort of confused at that. And then he has the image of, like, Weisz in this prince outfit rescuing princess dress-clad Shiki from, like, a bird cage. He gets a little uncomfortable with that. But then we come to focus on Weisz, who is still in this abandoned hospital. And you will recall my running theory that this hospital is meant to be the hospital where his mom died, much like Shiki fought on a representation of Grand Bell. But man, this hospital, it feels so familiar. And then he hears a sound, and he draws his gun and points it somewhere in the hallway, but there's nothing there, seemingly. And he asks himself, am I hearing things? And then out come the titular zombie nurses. And I do mean titular, because those are some, you know, their boobs are not fully exposed, but like, there's an emphasis in the way the camera's placed on their boobs. And Weisz just panics, ah! And they all start, like, charging for him. And he just shoots them all down. Would you just cool it? You gave me a flippin' heart attack. And I've commented before that Weisz seems several levels less horny than he did pre-time skip. You know, there's a maturity to Weisz that I feel like wasn't there at the beginning. He's not gone. You know, his sexuality is not vanished, but he's like, he can focus on important things when he needs to. I feel like pre-time skip Weisz would have gotten a little distracted by the boobs. But present day Weisz is just not dealing with zombies right now. But as they fall apart, we see they're mechanical. We can't quite work. Like, now that I look at that initial panel of them, I can see that. But it's much more apparent later on. On this next page, as Weisz comments, what are these things? Zombie nurse robots? And now he does notice the boobs. I might have given him too much credit. And Jeepers Creepers, they are gratuitously sexy. Who the fuck has said Jeepers Creepers in the 21st century, Mashima? Or whoever's translating this. Like, did I walk into fucking Scooby-Doo there? I don't know. They are gratuitously sexy. But that doesn't stop him. You know, he acknowledges it. He's like, yep, that's some boobs there. I'm into that. But he's not going to let himself get distracted. He's shooting them down. There's no end to them. And then he, like, slams his hand on the wall, and, he materializes, like, blast doors that close behind him, keeping the zombies on the other side. And yeah, the door slams shut, and he breathes a sigh of relief. Whew. And then he like rests his hand on the wall, and then he turns back around. And I think he might be starting to realize where he is. Because we see the sort of like particles in the air. And he comments, this hospital? No, it couldn't be. And he's walking through it, walks up the stairs. I remember this. I've seen it before. And he comes to a much cleaner... it looks like the place is... I think this like particle effect is the layout changing. Because wherever the particles go, things look a lot cleaner on one side of them. You know? We see in that top panel on page 18... where Weisz is, the hallway looks pristine. On the other side, it's falling apart. We see that throughout the page. The bottom right panel has like the glass only be shattered to the upper left of the particles. The damage on the bottom right panel is only in the top left corner, right beyond the particles. The room is being changed to fit more into Weisz's memories. I remember this. I've seen it before. And he gets to a door. And his heart's beating fast. He knows where he is. But he opens the door anyway. And there's a woman in a hospital bed. And what have I been telling ya? It's his mom. Weisz, it's so good to see you again. And Weisz is just trembling, sweating, just kind of in a panic state. Mom. And that's where we leave off. So I think Weisz's mom is about as real as Witch was. I'm not completely convinced that she's, like, actually killer in disguise in the way Witch was wizard in disguise. But that could, definitely be a thing that killer pulls out here. You know, make you think you found your mom. And, like, I don't think Weisz has had this sort of come to terms with his mom's passing that Shiki had to about Witch. So I'm not, like, I don't think... Shiki was instantly, he saw Witch and was like, that's not Witch, and he attacked her. I don't think Weisz can do that to the image of his mom. I don't think he's capable of that. I don't think that's what he can do. But we'll see what comes of that later. Before that, we have to talk about the rest of the chapter. And there's some good stuff here. I will admit, like I said last week, I was hoping we'd see Rebecca's nightmares this week. Just sort of give her that sort of grand, shining moment of character development as she overcomes her nightmares and takes Clown down for good. But we only get the briefest mentions of that. And that weird line, terminating that little girl is not the real purpose of my creation, which just makes me wonder what exactly, what is his... I figured, at best, his purpose would be taking down Sister, being a counter to her as the death of Edens. But I don't know. I'm curious what he would argue the real purpose of his creation is. That just sort of remains to be seen, I guess. But this chapter does not really focus on that at all. We're focused back on Shiki for the next, half a chapter. As Shiki learns a little bit more about the Subdimension program, but a lot of this is sort of setting up him being, a damsel for Weisz to rescue, beyond the little bit of Valkyrie and Brigandine knew each other. which raises all kinds of questions. Which I already got out earlier, that it wasn't just witch and wizard who knew each other, it was all of the counterparts among the stars, and also that somehow it's Brigandine Mark II who has that memory, and if they're all Otex and Brigandine 1 died, why does Brigandine 2 have the memories of Brigandine 1? Or was it just luck? Did Ziggy maybe know in advance that Brigandine 1 would die somehow? I don't know. It doesn't make much sense. But that's a mystery sort of hanging in the air we'll get to later, I bet. I imagine Machinima will address that. We'll address why Brigandine Mark II has the memories of whatever original Brigandine there was. If he's not the original. Maybe he is somehow sort of the original. The original memories were implanted in a new body or something. I don't know. But we don't get to worry about that for long. Because Killer drags Shiki and straps him to an operating table, and he's stuck until either Weisz or Killer are dead, or defeated, at the very least. And then we get to Weisz, who is dealing with zombie nurses. And like I said, good on him for not being too distracted by the boobs. He had a moment. There was a moment where those are some boobs, I'm into that. And then he got back to work. Good for him, we stand. But now he has a lot more emotional problem. It's not just he's too horny. Will Weisz be able to survive the horniness, which he did? He's faced with the specter of his mother. And I don't think that's going to end too well for him. Because like I said earlier, I don't think he's prepared in the same way Shiki was to fight Witch, to fight his mom. But we'll see what all comes of that next time. All in all, this chapter is a lot of fun. And I can't really wait to see where Machinima is going with all these things. I still want to know what's going on with Rebecca in Hell World and her nightmares. I want to know what we're going to see with Weisz and his mom and how that's going to tie into more things in the future. There's a lot here. I want to see how it all plays out. Eden Zero is damn good. I'm not surprised that there's so much good shit going on here, because Eden Zero is a great manga. And I can't wait to see how all this plays out going forward. So that said, I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you'll enjoy the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe or, do whatever makes you happy, And as always, your life is your own, okay? Bye!